it?
Hello and welcome. In today's video, I will be showing you how to replace the minus button on a Switch Joy-Con. I recently tried playing a game on my Switch and I haven't used it in quite a while. And I noticed that the minus button stopped working. So as you can see on the right Joy-Con, all the buttons seem to be working quite well. But when you try to press the minus button on the left Joy-Con, I noticed that it's no longer working. As you can see, I can press the minus button as much as I want, but it's not responding at all. So I ordered another minus button off the internet, and I will replace the minus button. So I'll just go ahead and switch off my Switch. So the minus button is what we're going to replace today, and I need to first remove all four of these tri-wing screws. So these tri-wing screws are kind of like a star screwdriver, but it only has 3 points. As you can see, it only has 3 points to it. It's a type of a special screw, and it needs a specialized screwdriver for it. That's one of them. This is the second one. I'm going to go to the fourth one because on my specific Joy-Con, I have opened this controller before, and what happened was with the one screw, it kind of like broke the plastic, and the screw is kind of like jammed in there. So once it's kind of difficult to open, and it doesn't, like, the screw doesn't come out completely because it's freewheeling, and the plastic that you should usually it should be holding onto is like stuck onto the screw. So it just keeps spinning. As I keep turning it, it keeps spinning inside. So what I'm going to do is use this to pry open the controller, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. There we go. As you can see, it's kind of like stuck in there. It's broken, that plastic with the screw. So I just kind of like leave it like that. It's not really doing much. So what we need to do is we first need to remove the battery. So if I just lift off this battery, it will come off easily. Should come off easily, right? And I'll just put this aside. There are 3 screws that need to be removed, and that will be using a normal star screwdriver. There's one at the bottom and two on top, diagonally from each other. Those are the ones which hold down this middle plate. So it's one of them. And this is an original Nintendo Switch controller. So this configuration should be exactly identical. If you have original Joy-Con, it should be the same. And there's 3 screws. I'll just set them aside. And then this middle plate will lift off into the side. There is a ribbon cable, so do be careful if you attempt this. There are 2 screws and a third with the minus button as well as a ribbon cable. So what I'll do is I'll first remove the ribbon cable. This has to be done as gently as possible. These are very fine and delicate cables. And the trigger button, the L, if I'm not mistaken, it's the L button and the minus button are actually one button, so they are both connected. So first I'll take off the L button, and then I will actually unscrew the L button itself. It's one. There's the second one. And there should be a third one on the minus button itself. Do take note that there's kind of a bend to this buttons, so the trigger button is actually bent upwards. It's kind of like bent upwards to this configuration. So I have to make sure that the L and the minus button are placed correctly. So I'll just take out button which I bought. It's actually quite cheaper to buy these buttons than to actually go out and buy a whole nother controller. So here's the aftermarket button that I bought, the minus and the trigger button. So that will be this trigger button, the L trigger button needs to be bent upwards and then screwed in. So I'll start by putting in the ribbon cable. Once again, be as careful as possible if you are attempting this. Take your time, do it slowly. It doesn't need to go in too deep, but you'll be able to feel when the ribbon is in, and it is kind of it is a bit difficult to actually do because everything is so small in this controller. But I guess if you can manage to like slide it in and then just gently feed it in with the tweezers, it should be okay. It seems to be in, but I just like to make sure it's in a little bit tighter. Okay. I think that's as far in as it can go. Now I just have to flip this clip on. This clip is actually quite hard to to flip back once it's open. So also to take care that when you are flipping it back, you don't damage the ribbon cable by mistake. And whew, there we go, it's connected. It was a bit nerve-wracking because it's kind of hard to put back and like close once it's open. So I'll start by doing the minus button. Just needs to be placed. You'll see there's like a groove where the L button needs to fit into. I'm just tightening this very loosely just so that it holds. There is like a plastic piece of plastic sticking out, which basically shows you where that L button needs to be aligned into. So it kind of like holds the button in place. Now I just have to fold this up and I can screw it in slightly and I can screw in the other side. It's best to just do it lightly, and then once everything is in place, just make sure that they are tight, but don't over tighten the screws, otherwise you might damage the board. There we go. It's tight enough. This is also tight enough. Everything should be okay now. The button has been replaced. If I press the minus button, as you can see, it actually lights up on the controller itself to say that it's reading the button press, which means the minus button is now attached, it's in and it's working. So now all I need to do is put everything back the way it came. So I'll start by putting the trigger button so it just fits in under that plastic groove there on top. It like kind of like fits inside, and then put the middle plate over so it holds that button in place. And just make sure that none of the ribbons are being pressed. It should just clip on nicely. So I'll just start by putting these screws back in to hold the middle plate, the one that goes at the bottom. And the two middle screws. The second one. And then the third one. And there's all three screws in. I can now put the battery back. It just folds back up into the position that it was. Press it in slightly. then gently just to be careful of these ribbon cables, and gently just fold the lid back on, and it should clip tightly together. When you press it together, it makes even like a clicking sound and like clips in place like this. Now all I need to do is put back the outer screws. Using the tri-wing screwdriver. So I won't tighten it too much. I will just put it in a little bit loosely, but I think I may have put it in sideways. Have to make sure that they are straight, otherwise you can strip the screw. I'll put in the screw as well, a little bit loosely, not too tight. And then the last screw. And now I can proceed to tighten them completely to make sure that they are tight as possible. Not too tight though, hand tight. This one, the screw which is freewheeling, I can also just try and tighten it as best as possible. And the top screw, just hand tight. And there we go. The L button has been replaced, and now let's test it out to see if it's working 100%. So here we go. You can always test your buttons at systems and then controllers and sensors, and test input devices. And there we go. The minus button is now working. The L and ZL buttons are working, and all the other buttons are working 100% fine on the left controller. So the left controller is 100% okay. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. See you on the next one. Bye.